Yes, Prabhuji. So in chapter 7 and chapter 9, we saw various energies of Krishna, the superior, the inferior energy, and which gave us an appreciation of Krishna's position and why we should take up to devotional service, pure devotional service. So in this chapter, the continuation of the same, we will see different opulences and manifestations of Krishna to increase our appreciation and understanding of Krishna's position, his vibhutis. Then by hearing about Krishna more and more, we develop devotion to him. So this factor is also stressed as part of this chapter.
See, what happens is that opulence is definitely devotee, Aishwarya Bhava, the devotee like Mother Yashoda are not interested. But for us, it is needed. It may not be needed for Mother Yashoda, but we need it. We are not on her platform. She is on total, the fortunate position she has, we don't have now. We have to rise. So for us at this instance, it's important to see Vibhutis. Next chapter is important to see Vishwarupa to help us surrender to the Lord. But we do not need such things from Mother Yashoda. Okay. Yes.
So the first section of this chapter, understanding how Krishna is unknowable, that means how he is not known to anybody and everyone, and how he is the source of all creation. So Krishna's origin is impossible to understand, for he is the source of all. And Srila Prabhupada explains in these verses how that which has been created from the source cannot understand the source on its own. So namely the Jivatmas, the Devatas, all the living entities, we cannot understand Krishna completely unless he reveals himself to an extent. And one who understands this particular fact about Krishna, that he is the source of everything and he is not known to many living entities, most of the living entities, that person serves Krishna with devotion, who understands Krishna's position. And what is the practical application of this section? Knowing of Krishna's supreme position is an inspiration for one to take up to the process of devotional service. As Prabhuji mentioned, till the time one is on the platform of love, this knowing the opulences, knowing Krishna's position increases our conviction in the process of devotional service. One can understand Krishna by his mercy, not by material qualification. Fully understanding Krishna, what is the result of it? One is freed from all the sins. And appreciating Krishna's position naturally leads one to surrender to Krishna.
Now this basically becomes actually the objectives. I was telling Pran Chaitanya Prabhu,
Yes.
So this we have to measure these objectives.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, we are not doing today, but that's how it is designed. Knowing Krishna's supreme position, inspiration to take to devotional service, very important. For us, conditioned soul, only when we know the Aishwarya of the Lord, we bow down. And we can understand Krishna by his mercy, fully understand Krishna frees from all sins. That's a benefit. And appreciating Krishna position leads one to surrender. Yes, wonderful. Yes, Prabhuji.
Then we come to text number 1 of chapter 1. Krishna reveals more wonderful knowledge about his opulences, starting this verse, text 1, chapter 10. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Bhuya Eva Mahabaho Shunu Me Paramam Vachaha Yatteham Priyamanaya Vakshami Hitakamyaya. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Listen again, O mighty armed Arjun, because you are my dear friend. For your benefit, I shall speak to you further, giving knowledge that is better than what I have already explained." So in the purport to this text, Srila Prabhupada, starting with, he explains the first line of the verse, which is Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. So Srila Prabhupada recollects the definition given by Parashara Muni, the father of Vyasadeva, to explain Bhagavan as one who is full with 6 opulences: strength, wealth, beauty, fame, knowledge, and renunciation. And Krishna offers in this particular chapter number 10, compared to the previous chapter, more confidential knowledge of his specific opulences and his work, In chapter 7, he explained the energies that we saw, the superior and the inferior energy. Now we will see his manifestations and his opulences. So Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport in this regard, the more one hears about the Supreme God, the more one becomes fixed in devotional service. One should always hear about the Lord in the association of devotees. That will enhance one's devotional service. Discourses in the society of devotees can take place only among those who are really anxious to be Krishna conscious. Others cannot take part in such discourses. The Lord clearly tells Arjun that because Krishna is very dear to him, for his benefit, such discourses are taking place. So here Srila Prabhupada is giving us the qualification to be able to hear about Krishna and appreciate his position. The qualification is to be really anxious to understand Krishna, to be in Krishna consciousness. Unless one is anxious, then one cannot hear attentively and one cannot grasp that we hear. Like recently in the Srimad Bhagavatam class, Mataji was very nicely explaining the story of Gokarna and the Dun, Dhunkari, that unless, because Dhunkari, although being in the body of the ghost, because he heard with lot of inquisitive, lot of uh, desire to understand Krishna and understand Srimad Bhagavatam, he got liberated in that particular 7 days period. So that is the qualification to be Krishna conscious, to be anxious to understand Krishna. Yes, Prabhu.
Chalo, Prabhuji, no problem.
Then, in the next part of the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains Krishna's position as the cause of all causes, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchit Ananda Vigraha, Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. Here, Krishna is mentioned as the cause of all causes. That means he is the cause of the Jivatmas, the living entities in this world, also the Devatas, also the demigods. So, because he is the origin of everyone and everything, which includes the devatas and including the great sages, Krishna mentions in the next verse. Hare Krishna, 1 second. You just read the verse, next verse. Name vidu suragana prabhavam na maharshaya aham adir hi devanam maharshinam cha sarvashah. So Krishna is saying, Name vidu suragana prabhavam na maharshaya. That means neither to the suraganas, means neither to the devatas, nor to the maharshis, the great saintly personalities, great sages, is he known completely, unless and otherwise Krishna specifically reveals his own position to them. So he remains unknown because we have all been created by Krishna. So here in the next part of the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains the qualification necessary to understand Krishna, that the material qualifications or the scholarship is not the criteria for understanding Krishna. Like in the previous chapters, I believe it was in chapter number 7, where Srila Prabhupada mentions the university degrees are not helpful here to understand Krishna. And that's why even the great personalities like the Devatas and the great sages cannot understand Krishna, his name, personality, what to speak of the scholars of this tiny planet Earth. No one can understand why the Supreme Lord comes to this planet as an ordinary human being and executes such wonderful, uncommon activities. So this is the state of those who try to understand Krishna by their own endeavor. Then Srila Prabhupada also goes on to explain it is also not possible to understand Krishna by the process of speculation, which is based on our imperfect senses. And in fact, if one speculate after many lifetimes, one can reach a conclusion which is totally opposite to what Krishna's position is, namely the conclusion of impersonalism or Mayavad. And they can imagine something by mental speculation, which is totally different than what Krishna's original position is. Then how to understand Krishna? Only by the unprecedented mercy of Krishna and his devotees we can understand him, and also through the bona fide books by studying the words of Krishna and studying the words, the relationship between Krishna and his devotees as given in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So through these books and through the mercy of Krishna, we can understand Krishna to an extent. Yes, Prabhu. Prabhuji, you're on mute.
How do we say this? That if we have not heard the Shastra, we will only end up in an impersonal conclusion. How do we say that? Yes, anybody?
Dharmeshwar Prabhu, you have unmuted. You want to say?
Can I try, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhuji, please.
Yes. Prabhuji, in Shastras, we have two important references. One is like Bhagavad Gita, wherein Krishna himself tells about himself. So, Aham Sarvasya Prabhu Matta Sarvam Pravartate. Then he tells about his opulences also, how to know him, how to think about him. That is one way of knowing Krishna. Secondly, that in Bhagavatam, we have the various incidences of his devotees. So through that also we understand that he is a person, and we can, have a reference that how to understand him, how to approach him. So otherwise, then we will not have that faith generated within us through which we can believe in a personified God. That is my understanding. Just I tried to put it in words, Prabhu.
Any more ideas on this?
Prabhuji, I also think that, going through a process or a path which is authentic, gives it a lot more, a lot more conviction to say that this is what one must do and to attain that spiritual bliss. Because here is talking about the bona fide books and bona fide process, understanding it through bona fide teachers. So I think someone who has a credibility, gets accepted far more with a far more conviction than someone who doesn't have that conviction.
Yes, Braja Premika Matape, something you want to add?
Hare Krishna, what I think is like, until unless we understand like about Krishna, until unless we read like what he wants to be done, only then we can understand that he's person. Otherwise, how will we understand that he's a person, what he likes? Even if we want to do friendship with anyone or anything, we try to understand and like we try to do what they would like to, whatever they like, that's what we do. So similarly, it's for Krishna as well. We need to understand him, so for which we need to read.
Yes. Vidambanam. Again and again, the scriptures say, see, in Bhagavad Gita also, we're going to read in 13th chapter, everything is contradictory about Krishna. He is nearest, he is farthest. He is control of the senses, but he has no material senses. He has no material form, and he's present everywhere. These are all very contradictory things according to our observation. So when somebody doesn't use Shastra, then what will he use? He will use logic, obviously. So when the process of logic, the problem with the logic is that beyond your conception of your observation, the logic cannot be applied. That is why the Gautama uses logic Nyaya, and he could not understand truth to be anything more than atoms, like modern day scientists. But when things are beyond your perception itself, logic cannot reach it. So therefore, the Shruti of the Shastra is the only way to reach the Lord. A bona fide, as Janaki Mata is saying, a process, bona fide process to reach the Lord, because it is beyond our perception. But by hearing, just like you hear Mother Yashoda plays with Krishna, we have not seen it. We hear about Krishna is there in the heart of everybody. We have not seen it. So the no way, if you are logically going to conceive, will come to these conclusions of Paramatma and Bhagavan. All our conclusions will be at the Brahman level itself. Prabhupada says maximum we can say not this. What it is we cannot say because it is totally beyond your conception. You will say not this. The spiritual form will not have this defect, it will not have this, but what it is you cannot say. Okay, there is spiritual perfection in which there should be no pain in the body, there should be no relations which are all flimsy, there should be no attachment of this world. You will keep saying negative of what you see, the difficulties of this world, that you will assume to be perfection. Obviously, there is no death, there is no old age, you will speak, but what it is you cannot speak because that requires excess. Just like you get access in anything, you are allowed to enter that room, you are allowed to enter particular website, access is granted. So the access to the spiritual realm is not granted except through the hand of a pure devotee. Therefore, we are dependent. Okay, on the but the pure devotee is the one actually, he brings the faith in the scriptures. He gives you the faith in the Dhamma. He gives you faith in the holy name. I was sitting in Delhi all my life, never went to Vrindavan because I never met a pure devotee who gave me faith in Krishna, faith in his Dhamma. I never went to Vrindavan. I never thought there is any need. 23 years of my life did not go once because I never knew there is a need, and it is so. Acharya only reveals the Dhamma. Acharya only reveals the holy name. Acharya only reveals the holy rivers to you. He reveals the scripture to you. So pure devotee is the catalyst making Krishna accessible and realm of Krishna accessible. Otherwise, on our own, yes, let us be nice person, let us not do bad to other person. We cannot go beyond that. Make sense?
Prabhuji,
Yes,
here,
very well, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu. I feel faith is very important, Prabhuji.
But
Faith is
who
most
pure
important.
devotee is? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, here can we quote the example of Romaharshana Suta, who was killed by Balramji? Because he was very learned, but he didn't have the etiquette when Balramji entered. He did not pay respects and all those things. So
Correct.
I think
Basically, he was lacking the mercy. Without the mercy, he did not really know the position of Krishna and Balaram.
yes,
And there was no realization deep within his heart. Without the mercy, what happens? Just like we can study Bhagavad Gita, but we are not sincerely chanting the holy name. We are not sincerely trying to serve, please Krishna. The mercy of Krishna will not manifest. And the faith will always be a little skin deep. So when Balramji came, he's speaking about it. Balram, the Bhagavata is speaking, but he has, at the core of his heart, he has no faith. He just doesn't believe in it. And when Balramji came, immediately he became, he didn't do, even not even get up from his seat. Everybody fell at the feet of Balramji. He was sitting long. I'm giving Vyasa class. Vyasa, I have to get up. And you cannot cheat Balramji. You can know in the heart. Now he is thinking he is doing work of Mohini Murti, distributing nectar, but actually he is doing work of Putana, distributing poison. When you're a Vaishnava and if you're teaching about Krishna, you're not doing service, you're doing disservice. Because of hearing you, people's spiritual life will be destroyed instead of benefited. You understand? Avaishnava mukho gita puta harikatamitam shabdamanaiva kartavyam sarpochasya payorata. It's just like a milk touched by poison. So he was actually doing disservice. So strictly following rules and regulations, trying to please an acharya is the only way these things become accessible. Take care, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, so access, he did not have access to the spiritual realm. He was just philosophizing and speaking, which is not a platform he should have taken. Artificially, we should not do anything.
Next text, 10:3.
Yeah, you can read the verse.
Yes. Yomam ajam anadim cha vetti loka maheshwaram asammuda samarteshu sarva papai pramuchate. He who knows me as the unborn, as the beginningless, as the supreme Lord of all the worlds, he only undiluted among men is freed from all sins. So here Krishna is explaining the result For one who understands him, such a person becomes undiluted, that means free from illusion, and is freed of all the sins. So Krishna mentions the link of this verse with respect to the previous verses. Is in the earlier text, Krishna explained how the great personalities like the Devatas, the great sages, and the mental speculators, they cannot understand Krishna in his form as unborn, as the beginningless, and as the supreme Lord of all the worlds. The words that Lord Krishna uses is Aja, which means unborn, Anadi, which means beginningless, and Maheshwaram, which is the supreme lord of all the three worlds, supreme proprietor and controller. So in the coming text, including this particular text, Lord Krishna explains how the undiluted men, those who can understand Krishna in these three features, unborn, beginningless, and as the supreme controller, proprietor, they become free from all the illusions, and they also become free from the sins. And regarding the rarity of such a person who can understand Krishna completely, Srila Prabhupada quotes the famous verse from chapter number 7. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschit yatati siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kaschin mam veti tatvataha. One who understands Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as unborn Aja, the Supreme Proprietor, such a person is out of millions, one may endeavor for such a perfection. And out of such thousands of people who endeavor for perfection, only one is able to realize Krishna in these features.
So what are the three features there?
Unborn, beginningless, and Maheshwaram, the supreme controller.
Unborn, beginningless, supreme. So see, there is a difference between knowledge and understanding. Knowledge is just some kind of an information, and understanding is deeper. Understanding now starts certain wisdom, certain realizations, which is not easy. You can understand it. Knowledge, yeah, I know. That's of no use. Therefore, that makes people serious in spiritual life, because deep in our heart, even when you go in front of the Lord to offer a simple bhoga, say, and then you actually realize in your heart, if you're introspective, actually I have no love, I have no faith. And practical devotion service is also important apart from Bhagavata Vidhi. You are sitting and reading Bhagavad Gita, you really don't come to know. So when you're teaching, at that time also you look in your heart and say, I have no faith. That teaching also helps in that way. And similarly, you're offering devotion service you're worshipping, offering bhoga, doing arti. And at that time, when you're doing arti to the Lord, you should do with love. And you realize when you see yourself, actually, there is no love, there is no faith. I'm just doing it empty. So then a person, when he understands that, he tries to become sincere and serious in spiritual service and to get the mercy of Krishna, where he develops all the faith and understanding. Okay. Chalo.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Prabhuji, what are the three words? Three words mean?
What? Unborn?
World, Prabhuji. Three world.
Huh?
He's asking worlds, Prabhuji. WORLD, world. Three worlds.
Word. Three word. Oh, that is in the three words. In all the words. Okay. And you say the three words. Generally, lower planetary system, middle planetary, upper planetary system is called three. Triloka. Trilokeshwara. Trilokeshwara. You understand? Trilokeshwara. When I got rented 3 buildings in Bangalore, I say, I have become Trilokeshwara. Bali Maharaj used to feel, I am Trilokeshwara. Correct?
And that means these are in material world only. Higher planet, middle planet, and lower planet.
Yeah. This chapter is on material world only. This chapter is not talking about spiritual world.
Yes,
True?
true. Yes, true.
So now within the material world, you have to see the glories of Krishna. Then you understand his glories in the spiritual world. Okay.
Shall we proceed, Prabhuji?
Yes.
So in the next part of the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains the significance of the word aja, which means unborn. So living entities are constantly taking birth and they are dying. So in chapter number 2 of Bhagavad Gita, also living entities are mentioned as aja. But Srila Prabhupada explains that unborn characteristic of the living entities is different from the unborn characteristic of Lord Krishna. Although we as living entities are unborn, we are constantly taking birth and changing our body and again facing death, taking up new bodies in our in our conditioned state, whereas Krishna is supremely aja, that is amongst the eternals, he is supremely eternal. So that is the difference between Krishna and the living entities. And also, when we take birth in the material world, we are forced to accept a certain set of parents and we are forced to accept a certain set of conditions around our birth. But for Lord Krishna, he is Swarat. That means he chooses how he appears. And Srila Prabhupada gives example of Krishna appearing before Vasudev and Devaki in the prison in his original form, and then he appeared in the form, like first he appeared as a four-handed form, then he appeared as a two-handed form, Shamasundar form, and then he appeared as an ordinary child based on request by Nanda Maharaj. So that is the difference between Krishna. Wherever he appears, he is a Swarat, whereas we are conditioned. And yes, Prabhuji.
Aja. Yes, anybody? Now, what way you feel there is a difference between birth, our birth, and birth of the Lord? Anybody can illuminate that?
I think in the earlier chapters it was said that he comes whenever he comes from his own energies, from his inner energies.
Internal energy, yes.
Internal energies, yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Beginningless, the word beginningless and aja, they almost overlap each other, Prabhu.
And that's okay. Now focus on Aja. that let him explain. Now I'm talking about unborn. Anybody can illustrate some more light on this unborn? Some points on it. Why do
He's
you
eternal. He's Sachitanand. He's eternal. So where's the question of birth for him? He's unborn always.
So we are also Aja. The Lord is also Aja. What is the difference?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, we have a father, but Krishna doesn't have a father.
He's okay. Then
everything's born
Prabhuji?
out of him. There was nothing that was born before him. There is nothing that would still remain after him. And everything that is created that exists, living or non-living, comes under him.
okay, good. Then any other difference? So many differences are there.
Prabhuji, one more thing. Though we are unborn, we can take
Prabhuji.
material body intermittently.
Yes, we take.
But God do not take material body.
Yeah.
Take spiritual form only. Yes. And therefore, Prabhupada concludes that we forget the past. See, very important. Just think about, suppose you get even memory of your last birth, even if it is reference to the body, nothing you remember. It doesn't make sense to you. Suppose last life you were a honeybee and you remember some flying trees and all, even that memory comes, doesn't make sense to you. You are in another part of the world, I'm a Russian and in another color of body and another kind of relationship. Even the memory comes doesn't make sense. And change of body is also extremely painful. And that is why the cause of memory loss is the birth itself is so painful, you forget everything. So, yes, any more point? Bhutva Bhutva Praliyate. Anybody knows the meaning of this word? Bhutva Bhutva Praliyate. Nobody knows Bhutva Bhutva Praliyate. Again and again, we are drowning in the ocean of birth and death. And the word of Bhavati, Bhavati means it happens. Something we say, now we meet a lady, what happened? Is we boy or a girl? This used to be joke in college. So this word is a word of happening, where something is born, something dies. Correct? This is a word. So bhutva, bhutva, keep taking birth, keep dying. So we are not really unborn like Krishna. We are being dragged by the laws of karma in a situation. We didn't choose a father, mother. And then our bodies are material. Okay. And we don't come like Krishna in a spiritual form. Yes, Prabhuji, next one.
And Krishna's position as Vyakti Loka Maheshwaram, Srila Prabhupada explains, he is the supreme lord of all the world's planetary system. That means Krishna was existing even before the creation of this material world and is different from his creation, whereas the Devatas, they were created versus Krishna not being created. And thus Krishna is different even from the great Devatas like Brahma and Shiva. Then in the next part of the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains how by default anything apart from Krishna's own words, apart from Krishna's own instructions in this world is all inauspicious. So I will just read this paragraph from the purport.
Now this one we understand, the second point. Veti Loka Maheshwara. You understand this point? There was no Indra, no Shiva, no Brahma, nothing in the beginning. Only Krishna existed. Before the creation, the creator, this is a philosophical term. This is used even by Christians in their philosophy. That before the creation, the creator existed. Very, very important. But what is the creator? How does it look? What are his leelas? That they don't know. But principle agreed in all the religions. This is a common line. The creator should have to exist before the creation. Because it's a material creation, the creator has to be beyond matter. Before matter came into existence, he existed. Before the material universes came into existence, he existed. So he's beyond the. In fact, Aristotle had that unmovable mover. That was his argument. He said, you see, in this world, things are moving. So something must be there, some person who is not moving and he moves other things. He uses logic to understand and decipher there is some supreme power or personality. Little hint. Not without hearing the Shastra, they don't get a clear picture. But some hint of God they will have. Unmovable mover. Okay? Vyakti Loka Maheshwara. Is it fine? Before the creation, he existed. So it's beyond the material creation. All the Devi Devatas are referred to Shastras as Iha Devataha. They are the Devi Devatas of the material. Yes, Prabhuji, continue. The third one.
Just 1 second. Okay. And in the next part of the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains how everything in this material world, all the activities except for the instruction of Lord Krishna, how everything is inauspicious, nothing is auspicious. He writes, anything done under the direction of Krishna is transcendental. It cannot be contaminated by material reactions, which may be auspicious or inauspicious. The conception that there are things auspicious and inauspicious in the world, in the material world, is more or less a mental concoction. Because there is nothing auspicious in the material world, everything is inauspicious. Because the very material nature is inauspicious, we simply imagine it to be auspicious. Real auspiciousness depends on the activities in Krishna consciousness, in full devotion and service. Therefore, if we at all want our activities to be auspicious, then we should work under the directions of the Supreme Lord. Such directions are given in the authoritative scriptures such as Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, or from a bona fide spiritual master.
So what are the three things? Now one beginning left, supreme, okay, unborn. Then second, beginningless, and the Supreme Lord of all the worlds. Okay. Nothing is auspicious in the material world. Dvaita Bhadra Baddha Sakali Saman, Ei Bhala Ei Manda, Chaitanya Charitamrita says it's all mental concoction, Manodharma. So if you want to make your day auspicious, you follow the orders of the Shastra and Acharya. Otherwise, everything is inauspicious. Therefore, any activity we do, first thing we should give evidence who has told you to do that. Never do anything on your own initiative, because whatever you do on your own initiative is concoction and it may be inauspicious. So whatever you do, you should always have the attitude, I have been told to do it. Like Yudhishthira Maharaj was taking up the throne. So after Dhritarashtra, after Bhishma, Krishna, Vedavyasa ordered him to take up the throne. He always felt himself unqualified and a sinner. But when he was ruling, he was just ruling on the order of Krishna. And the moment he saw Krishna has disappeared from the world, he left the palace and walked out. He had no attachment. He was just doing because he had been told to do. So similarly, a whole day, I've been told to do that. Why you're doing this? I've been told to. That's why Maya will care. Otherwise, mind is so crooked. It will justify sinful activities, sense enjoyment in this way or that way. Always, I've been told to do. It's a good platform. Otherwise, everything is auspicious. Because it will be self-initiative. Self-initiative is not free from Maya. Self-initiative is always in the realm of Maya. And we will be dragged by all that self-initiatives. What is anybody's observation on this? Under the direction of Krishna means under the order of Shastra, Guru and Krishna. Correct? Guru Sadhu Shastra. So no, Prabhupada says even Lord Shiva does not take an independent initiative. He does not take. He also looks for a signal from Krishna and does activity. Brahma also doesn't take any independent initiative. What he's told to do, he does. When Srila Prabhupada landed in America, why did he come? My Guru told me. No independent initiative. My Guru told, therefore I come. Not that I wanted to save the world, I had great compassion, therefore to show my causeless mercy to all of you, I have come.
Thank you.
Prabhuji, unmute yourself.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, shall we cover part of the orientation now? We have full strength now.
Yeah, you can do that.
So,
Yes. Yeah, we still have some break, 45 minutes. See, what is happening is that April, first week. Okay, I think all of you came to know yesterday, March 2nd. So March has 5 weeks. And the 4th week of March, we are having the Yatra. That is 22nd, 21st to 21st, we are leaving. And 26th, we are coming back. In between 22, 23, 24, 25 is Vrindavan Yatra. Okay, the last week will be free. After that, we come back. And then after that is not finalized. It was verbally finalized with Atul Krishna Prabhu. He is the in charge of Bhakti Shastri. It is his creation, his post, whatever question bank you see, everything it is done by him. And he set up the Mayapur Institute also, our Institute of Higher Education. So many people teaching there, but he is the overall, the brain behind the whole thing. So I met him and I told him how we are doing Bhakti Shastri course. So certain advice he has given, which you are obliged to follow. Number one, he told us that you have to structure the classes, not only class. There should be class, there should be discussion, there should be brainstorming. So create more interest. And that, anyway, as I learn, I'll do that. Second part, he said that a number of people in a Bhakti Shastri class should not be more than 20. Like this program we had done in Nellore, there was a huge demand all over India. It's very strict. It doesn't take more than 20. So that's the only way they will participate. Otherwise, some people do not participate in the course and there is no use of doing the course. Correct? utility will not be there. There is a limit to how many people can participate in a course at a time. So therefore, I'm dividing. Already last thing, Saturday evening I announced, some people have shown their preference. I will also be dividing into Sunday evening. So the some people will attend the class on Saturday evening, some Sunday morning, some Sunday evening. Okay. So that way, so whoever is convenient Sunday evening, so that way you can plan out. Yeah. Yes, Prabhuji, what are other guidelines?
Yes, so basically based on discussion which Prabhuji had with Atul Krishna Prabhu, the format will include all these three objectives, the knowledge, skills, and the values. So knowledge will again be including the memorization of the verses, and we should be able to recall where does that particular verse fit in terms of the context, what Krishna is trying to convey, and the understanding of the underlying principles, not just theoretical but practical understanding. In terms of skills, the personal application of the concepts we are learning, and the preaching application, where does that point, how does it fit in terms of explaining to somebody, especially those of us who are also actively involved in level 1, 2, 3 programs, courses. Where do these concepts fit in? And values, what is the mood and mission while understanding this particular philosophy? How does one maintain Vaishnava integrity? That means whatever we are learning in the Guru Parampara, we present exactly the same thing. And
because very easy to go outside the boundary of this Vaishnava behavior. We can do something else. Yeah.
And learning the proper culture and etiquette while understanding these concepts, and also learning the Vaishnava qualities, the values, as part of
Gita. We have in the chapter 12 so many qualities at the end, no? So many places qualities. Yes, Prabhuji.
So Prabhuji, I have jotted down few listed points. So shall I go through, Prabhuji, these points? Okay, so important for the participants to give quality time to cover all the listed aspects of the course that we saw on the previous slide. And we will have 3 batches, 10 a.m. Sunday, 6 o'clock Saturday evening, and Sunday evening. And Prabhuji mentioned that 10 o'clock sharp, we have to start our discussion, which would mean whatever kirtan we want to do, it has to be done prior to that, which would mean we would need to join 10 minutes prior, around 9:50 a.m. India time, for the Sunday morning batch, and start sharp at 10 a.m. And all the participants, like this was mentioned before by Namanishta Prabhuji, but I guess many of us, we were not religiously feeling and submitting it, but we would need to fill in the sadhana chart and also follow the 16 rounds of chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, the japa, and following up the 4 regulative principles. And we will have to submit the sadhana chart using the Google form, which will be shared by Janaki Mataji. And online classes to be divided into 3 batches of 20 participants each. All devotee participants, they would need to come for these sessions well read on the verses that will be covered in that particular session. So Janaki Mataji, like she did this week, she will be giving the verses in advance what we are going to discuss on that particular Saturday or Sunday. So we should come well read with the verses, the purports, and yeah, so that should be the preparation. And we need to complete all the home assignments. Like say, for example, as we proceed with today's slides, I have marked in different color codes the home assignments and the group discussion task. So the home assignments we have to complete on our own. And like some of us have been doing, but many of us, we used to use laptop computers to type out our answers. So it has been suggested by Atul Krishna Prabhu to try and write our answers handwritten. That way we understand them better, and we get to repeat also a few times when we are writing it by hand, and upload the answer sheets on the link that will be shared by Janaki Mataji. And devotees can still use the groups, the study Bhakti Vivaksha study groups, to to discuss the questions, to brainstorm, to come up with the ideas and understand the concepts, but the answers will need to be written individually. And weekly shlokas, whatever are given for recitation, that we have to also memorize and keep us up to date. Active participation of all the devotees. So there are various portions of the discussions that we have marked for group discussions. So Prabhuji will divide the whole group into a smaller group of, say, for example, 10-15 devotees in the current group. And when we are split, then maybe 4-5 devotees each. Then we will discuss in that small group, come up with the answer, and then devotees will present the answer when the chat groups are combined together into one big group. So everybody should actively participate in these discussions. All devotees need to keep the video cameras on. Like sometimes it was observed by Prabhuji Mataji that sometimes devotees are driving or doing in parallel other tasks along with the Bhakti Shastri. So it has been recommended that devotees give a quality time, dedicated time for these sessions, and they should keep the video cameras on so that the interaction is more effective between Prabhuji and all the participants. And all the questions, doubts, we can raise them at the end of the sessions. Like today also there are some questions, I have noted it down. We will cover them at the end of the session. And evaluation criteria, like first unit of Bhagavad Gita, we covered only the theory portion. Going forward, we will have 60% weightage for the assignments, 20% for the closed book exams, 5% each for shloka recitation, participation in the class, and attendance, regular attendance. Yes, Prabhuji.
Done. इसको एक PDF करके भेज देना.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, so also Janaki Mataji, you have said one more form for all the three slots you opened up now.
Yes, Prabhuji, that's another thing which I wanted to just bring out. Thank you. I had sent it out last week after the meeting. Only 35 people have actually responded. So I'm going to be asking those questions again in this attendance format that will be shared with you right now. So I request everyone to also, give your time preference. As Pran Prabhuji has said that the ideal team size has to be 20 in each class. And apart from that, there are a lot of other things as well that Prabhuji said with respect to, abstinence from, certain things. So following of the 4 regulative principles is a must for anyone, participating in the Bhakti Shastri course, and as well as chanting of the 16 rounds of Mahamantra. So these are some of the things that are going to be in place, and as well as these I'm going to put them up in the attendance sheet that I will share with you in a few minutes from now. Yeah, that's it. Pran Prabhuji, I hope I didn't leave anything.
Yes, Mataji, that's
okay. Hare Krishna.
Have a small kirtan, then we continue.
Yes.
Anybody wants to do kirtan? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Does anyone want to do kirtan? No, please.
Mataji,
Brija Premika Mataji, Hare Krishna. Brija Premika. Yes, Mataji. Yes, Mataji. Go ahead.
Sai wants to do kirtan.
Yeah, but can you mute yourself, Mataji? You're bringing in a lot of echo. Yeah, who wants to sing, or who wants to do a kirtan? Anybody with a good voice, with a good quality of audio? Nobody's saying. Yes,
Dharmesh is there.
Dharmesh ji. Adish, you said something, Adish?
No, like if anyone, if you want, I can do it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, one sec. I will go inside. Just a second.
Thank you.
One sec. Yeah. I just give me a minute. I was thinking of taking my mridanga out. Long time I didn't take it out.
It's okay. You can do it without the mridanga. It's okay.
Okay, but yeah, okay, I'll be inside. Okay. Yeah. So Hare Krishna Mahamantra Kirtan is okay?
Yeah, whatever.
Hare Krishna Mataji, can I do the song and then followed by Kirtan by
Who's this?
Oh, yes, go ahead,
Mataji?
Yeah, okay. Adish, are you okay? Because he came in first, Lavanya ji.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes, yes, Mataji.
Go ahead, Lavanya ji. Thank you.
राधे जय जय माधव दायिते राधे जय जय माधव दायिते गोकुल तरुणी मंडल महिते गोकुल तरुणी मंडल महिते राधे जय जय माधव दायिते दामोदर रति वर्धन वेशे हरिनिष्कुट वृंदाविपिनेशे हरिनिष्कुट वृंदाविपिनेशे राधे जय जय माधव दायिते वृषभानुदधि नवसि लेखे ऋषभानुदधि नवसि लेखे ललिता सखी गण रमित विसाखे ललिता सखी गुण रमित विसाखे राधे जय जय माधव दायिते राधे जय जय माधव दायिते करुणा कुरुमयि करुण भरिते करुणा कुरुमयि करुण भरिते सनक सनातन वर्णित चरिते सनक सनातन वर्णित चरिते राधे जय जय माधव दायिते राधे जय जय माधव दायिते हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Mataji, Prabhuji will do the Kirtan, Hare Krishna Kirtan. Adish Prabhuji.
Oh, yeah, okay. Okay. Namaya Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Damini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshotarini Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Should I continue, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji, till Namanishta Prabhuji comes, you can continue.
Okay,
I am here only.
Ravi, should I continue or?
Now we start the class now. Chalo, Pranchaitanya Prabhu.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Adesh.
Thank you, Adish Prabhu and Braja, Premika, Mataji. Sorry, Lavanya Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
So next verse, which are two verses combined, text 4 and 5. So we'll Hare Krishna. Buddhir jnanam asammoha, kshama satyam dama shamaha, sukham dukkham bhavo bhavo, vayam chabhyam evacha, ahimsa samata tushtis, tapo danam yasho yashah, bhavanti bhava bhutanam, matta eva pratak vidah. So in these verses, Krishna gives various qualities that he manifests in this world. And Hare Krishna. Yeah. So all these qualities, whether they be good or bad, they are ultimately manifesting from their source, Lord Krishna, in this material world. And he has specifically manifested those qualities to enable the devotees to take advantage, to imbibe these qualities and progress in our Krishna consciousness. And these qualities exist throughout in the material creation, both for the devatas as well as for the human beings. The lower spaces, they are not bound by any of these rules and regulations. So these qualities are listed in a tabular form. We just cover them one by one. Intelligence, Srila Prabhupada defines intelligence as the power to analyze things in right perspective, in proper perspective. Knowledge means knowing what is matter, what is spirit, and the relationship between the two. Freedom from doubt and illusion, asammoha. It can be achieved when one acts without hesitation based on understanding, transcendental philosophy, where one accepts nothing for blindly, but accepts everything with care and caution. Tolerance and forgiveness, kshama. We excuse the minor offenses of others, and one should be practiced to bear insults and dishonor from others. Truthfulness, present the facts as they are for the benefit of others and don't distort the facts for some personal interest. Then control of the senses. Senses should not be used for unnecessary sense enjoyment, personal enjoyment. Control of the mind, Srila Prabhupada writes, misuse of the thinking power of the mind is to spend one's time pondering over how to earn more and more money. Power of thought should be used instead to understand the prime necessity of human life and to present it authoritatively. Power of thought should be developed in the association of Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Happiness and distress, Sukham, always considered in relation to what is favorable for our Krishna consciousness and what is unfavorable. Bhava, birth, for the soul there is no birth and death. Fearlessness, abhayam. This is a famous text which Srila Prabhupada quotes in the purport from Canto 11, Chapter 2, Text 37. Bhayam dvitiya biniveshat syat. Fear is caused due to absorption in the illusory energy of Krishna, due to worrying about the future. And fearlessness is possible only for one who is engaged in Krishna conscious activities. Ahimsa, non-violence, means not doing anything which would put others into misery, confusion, or distress. Equanimity, samata, freedom from attachment and aversion. We accept the things which are favorable for our Krishna consciousness and reject those that are unfavorable. Satisfaction means not to be eager to gather more and more material things by unnecessary activity. One should be satisfied with what is obtained by Lord's grace. Satisfaction means not to be, satisfaction be covered. Austerity and penance, tapas. Voluntary accepting hardships or suffering for a higher purpose. Like Srila Prabhupada gives two examples in various chapters: rising early in the morning, fasting on recommended days like Ekadashi or on the appearance day of various incarnations of Krishna. And charity, Srila Prabhupada gives Rupa Goswami's formula, which is we should engage 50% of our income in furthering Krishna consciousness, and charity should be given to persons who are engaged in spreading Krishna consciousness. And true fame is, according to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one who is known as a devotee of the Lord, he is truly famous. So these are all 16 qualities Krishna mentions in these verses for the advancement of our Krishna consciousness. Yes, Prabhuji.
No, fine. These are wonderful qualities. If we want to be dear to Krishna, then we should develop these qualities. Not that one day when I advance to Krishna, I love. We should consciously try. A person with these qualities is dear to Krishna. So we should try to control. Yes. Yes, Prabhuji.
The next is text 6. Maharshaya sapta purve chatvaro manavasthatha madbhava manasa jata esham loka ima prajaha. So here Krishna is giving the genealogical sequence, genealogical synopsis of the material, the process of material creation, right? Starting from the birth of Lord Brahma, who is known as Hiranyagarbha, means one who is born out of the golden womb of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. So Brahma is the original creator of the secondary creator of this material manifestation, and Lord is the original creator, the primary creator. So from Brahma come the 4 sages, the Kumaras, and then from Brahma come the Saptarshis, Kashyapa, Atri, Vasishtha, Vishwamitra, Gautama, Jamadagni, and Bharadwaj, and 14 Manus, of which we are currently living in the age of Vaivashvata Manu, who is the 7th Manu out of 14 in the day of Brahma. And Krishna is called as Prapitamaha, and Brahma is called as Pitamaha, that means the grandfather, and Krishna is the father of the grandfather. Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Krishna is giving a synopsis. The whole creation has happened via Brahma, and then some important Prajapati sons of Brahma are listed. What we say as Gotra is always as one of them. Bharadwaj Gorta, Atri Gotra, Vasishtha Gorta. Yes, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I'm done.
The next verse, appreciating Krishna's position leads to the surrender. So what is the use of understanding all these vibhutis that Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport? Text 7. etam vibhutim yogam cha mama yoveti tatvatah so vikalpena yogena yujjate natra samshayah. One who is factually convinced of this opulence and mystic power of mind engages in unalloyed devotional service. Of this, there is no doubt. So Krishna explains the purpose of he explaining all these vibhutis, the opulences, which is so that we become fixed, more firm in our engagement of unalloyed devotional service. And Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, the highest summit of spiritual perfection is the knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Unless one is firmly convinced of the different opulences of the Supreme Lord, he cannot engage in devotional service. Generally, people know that God is great, but they do not know in detail how God is great. Here are the details. If one knows factually how God is great, then naturally he becomes a surrendered soul and engages himself in devotional service of the Lord. When one factually knows the opulences of the Supreme, there is no alternative but to surrender unto Him. All this particular knowledge is required in order to increase one's interest in loving devotional service of the Lord. One should not neglect to understand fully how great Krishna is. For by knowing the greatness of Krishna, one will be able to be fixed in sincere devotional service. Yes, Prabhuji.
Importance of knowing Krishna's greatness. Anybody can illustrate this? How this will happen? Okay, understood. But how does it happen? We have a home assignment also based on this. Yes. Anybody? How does it happen? By knowing greatness of Krishna, you start serving. Anybody wants to add some thoughts to it?
Prabhuji, may I?
Yeah, try.
Thank you. Prabhuji, knowing Krishna, or studying or trying to understand Krishna's opulences gives us an idea about his magnanimity, who he really is, and then that helps us surrender more to him and understand him, and I would like to say relate to him more and more during the day, like seeing the sun or small things we see during the day. We can relate to him more and understand him as the cause of all causes and everything.
Yes, very nice. Anybody else wants to add? In Mangalore, all the buses, Christians, they have a thing. If the bus is owned by a Christian person, he'll put on the front, God is great. It's a common thing. Every religion agrees. But have they really understood what is the greatness of God? Yes, anybody wants to add? Why to lead us to devotion service?
May I try, Prabhu? What I want to add in that point. Another important point, Prabhu, that when we try to know God, then Krishna, then we come to know that He is the origin of everything. So He is origin of myself also. So I am intimately related with Him as a son, as a Mamaivanso Jeev Loke Jeev Bhuta Sanatana. So I am related with Him eternally, and then I can, try to re-establish and revitalize that connection. So I come to know that like a person whose father is very rich, but he doesn't come to know till he is being informed by the father or somebody else like that. So when I come to know that yes, Krishna is the original entity, and he is presently maintaining everything, and he's going to destroy also at the time of Pralaya, then my awe and my reverence and my love and my affection to Krishna increases, and then I can proceed towards the devotional service. That's what Prabhuji. Yes.
May I say something, Prabhuji?
Yes. Yes.
So it's something I think about our capability and capacity to understand and recollect and visualize. So supposing I ask somebody, have you seen Toronto? If somebody has seen or heard about it, they will be able to visualize what Toronto is or what its beauty is. In the same way, if we say that we know Krishna, but we do not know in detail about his opulences, his energies, his creation, and we cannot, then in that case, we cannot appreciate that. And in that case, we cannot even develop our own love or our own reverence or respect for that. So it's, I think knowing the opulences in detail will create a lot of, what do you say, relevance and lot of affection and lot of understanding of Krishna and his potencies.
Yes. See, very simple thing we should understand. If I'm hearing of anybody, that means I did not understand who's Krishna. There is no comparison between Krishna's opulences and opulence, so including Shiva. Nothing. There is not a comparison. Now we are very much, you see, somebody sports, somebody did a sixer, somebody did a goal in a match, or somebody wrestling. If we are attracted to hearing all that, that means we have actually not understood Krishna's glories. Still the mundane world. See what is being presented to us in the social media or which we are exposed to today. We are presented to so-called small heroes. And we get attracted to that. That means we didn't understand who's the real hero. Isn't it? You still have not realized that how Krishna is a real hero. These are all paidas. You will not waste half a second. Because we are still wasting, we have not understood actually his glory. His all-round glories in every angle, we have not understood. So his vibhuti, this chapter is very important for us. Because we understand his glory, then we say, okay, what is that? Okay, we are still attracted to the glories of small mundane ants. That we didn't understand Krishna's glories. A devotee doesn't waste a second hearing about the mundane qualities of these small stars. His heart is absorbed in the Hare Gudakshartamati, the wonderful qualities and wonderful glorious activity. Urukrama. Krishna is Urukrama, not small activities. 2 steps he covered the universe. Urukrama. So that means we are not understood. We are still attracted to this small chitty-pitty heroes. Why people watch movies? They're looking for some hero. That means you're still not fixed your heart on Krishna's lotus feet as the real hero. Still looking for these silly heroes and wasting time. What do you say? Makes sense?
Perfect.
Okay, when we are convinced of Krishna's unique position, then our heart is fixed on him. And all this chota-pata people will not be able to distract us. Just like Haridas Thakur is convinced of Krishna's glories and glories of devotional service. Heart is fixed on it. That prostitute is coming, trying to be a hero in front of him. So beautiful, trying to become a hero. What is his beauty? He knows, he's convinced, realized. He cannot touch it. But because we're getting distracted, we're not able to fix our mind on Krishna's lotus feet because we are not convinced. Okay? Unless one is convinced, he cannot engage in devotional service. Really distracted.
Prabhuji, a question.
See, there is a second paragraph, you read the line. One should not neglect to understand fully how great Krishna is. We should not be lazy in this area. We know the reality. Still I'm distracted. Still I'm attracted to the mental energy and the heropana of small jivas in it. That means I should not neglect to. Okay, but there is a description, some 70, 80 descriptions are there. Among this, I am tired. You are so much distracted to the world. You hear how great Krishna is, so that you can fix your mind, connect your mind to Krishna. Yes, Prabhuji Dharmesh.
Yes, Prabhuji. Knowing, you said that knowing is one part and getting convinced is another part. So that convincing is a combination of mercy and self-effort, or it's more of mercy?
Says when Mother Yashoda was trying to tie Krishna, the two things, it was always short by 2 inches. So 1 inch is your effort, 1 inch is Krishna's acceptance. Krishna accepts. Okay? So that acceptance is mercy. By Vaishnavas, mercy by Krishna. Other part is my effort. God helps those who help themselves. But just because you are putting an effort doesn't mean Krishna has to reveal himself. It is his choice, but it depends upon how sincere you are. Really want it.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Yes.
Krishna Prabhuji, that which has been created cannot understand its own source independently. So Krishna has to tell us about himself.
Through the Acharya, through the Shastra. Okay? Not on its own. Like a small ant in this room cannot understand the discussion. But if you understand the language of the ant, maybe you teach something to as much the ant can understand, not everything. So Krishna teaches us little. What we teach, understand in Bhagavad Gita, that much is enough. Now you see how Paramatma is standing like this, such a big in the heart, holding Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma, doesn't get tired standing for so long. Don't use your mundane logic. Understand? We imagine after half an hour, 1 hour, we feel we can lie down. That's our condition. But how can Krishna just be standing for 100 years? Shankha, Chakra, Gada. You cannot understand. Our law of physics, how is he standing? How, what is the magnetic force? You cannot understand. To whatever degree Gita has explained, that much degree, that's it, full stop. More than that, don't speculate. Totally beyond your comprehension. What has been given, just keep repeating within your heart. So one should not neglect to fully understand how great Krishna is. And we can see our present position. We are still distracted and we are not able to fix our mind on Krishna. So let us not neglect. If we are not on the platform of that Yashoda, where she doesn't need to read all this. She can just directly hear today's Krishna's arrangement of Krishna's playful activities of today. She would like to more hear that. But we, let us not jump on the platform. We still not accepted Krishna within our heart. Okay? Yes, Pranchaitanya Prabhu.
Yes. So then we start with the next and very important section of Bhagavad Gita, which is also called as the essence of Bhagavad Gita, Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita, which these are the most important verses, 4 verses in Bhagavad Gita, 10.8, 9, 10 and 11, which together summarize the entire Bhagavad Gita. So in this, the first verse, text number 8, summarizes Krishna's opulences and result of truly knowing his opulences. That is, one takes up to the pure devotional service. And next text, text number 9, describes how a pure devotee of the Lord behaves. How does he worship Lord Krishna and what are his activities of the pure devotee. And next two texts, text number 10 and 11, describe the reciprocation of Lord Krishna towards his pure devotees who are engaged in loving worship towards him. The practical application of this section: Lord Krishna is the source of everything. Those who understand this particular fact, how they become pure devotees of Krishna, and they enjoy fixing their minds and hearts in Krishna, the Lord gives them specific intelligence by which those devotees can come back to Krishna. So this is the practical application of this particular section.
Anybody knows the 4 verses Kantastha without looking in the book? Yes, Dharmesh ji.
Yes, Prabhuji. I got it memorized before some time, but in between I have lost the touch. I may attempt.
Aishwarya Mata ji, yes.
Yes, Prabhu. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita macchitta matkada prana bodhayanda parasparam kadayanda shamam nityam tushyanti charamanti cha tesham sadada yuktanam bhajadam priti purvagam tadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti te tesham evanukampartam aham ajnanajam tamaha nashayami atma bhavasto jnana deepena bhashvata. Hare Krishna.
Very good.
Yes, anybody else? One more person.
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Can I, Prabhuji?
Try.
Vani Kumari.
Yes, Mother. Without seeing, huh?
Yes. I know Prabhuji. That's it.
Hare Krishna, may I?
Yeah, try.
Hare Krishna.
हम सर्वस्य प्रभवो मत्तः सर्वं प्रवर्तते इति मत्वा भजन्ते मां भूतभावा समन्विता मच्चित्ता मद्गता प्राणा बोधयन्तः परस्परं कथयन्तश्च मां नित्यं तुष्यन्ति च रमन्ति च तेषां सततयुक्तानां भजतां प्रीतिपूर्वकं ददामि बुद्धियोगं तं येन मामुपयन्ति ते तेषामेवानुकम्पार्थम् अहम् अज्ञानजान्तमः नाशयामि आत्मभावस्थो ज्ञानदीपेन भास्वता. हरे कृष्ण.
Very good.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Can I, Prabhuji?
Try.
अहं सर्वस्य प्रभवो मत्तः सर्वं प्रवर्तते इति मत्वा भजन्ते मां बुधा भावसमन्विताः मच्चित्ता मद्गतः प्राणा बोधयन्तः परस्परं कथयन्तश्च मां नित्यं तुष्यन्ति च रमन्ति च तेषां सततयुक्तानां भजतां प्रीतिपूर्वकं ददामि बुद्धियोगं तं येन मामुपयान्ति ते तेषामेवानुकम्पार्थम् अहम् अज्ञानजन्तमः नाशयाम्यात्मभावस्थो ज्ञानदीपेन भास्वता. हरे कृष्ण.
Yes. Thank you. Aishwarya Madadi, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
How do you say these four are the essence of the Gita? In quite a short, without looking, what is the main meaning of these four verses? And then how do you say this is the essence of the whole?
So, Prabhu, I think the whole Bhagavad Gita is summarized. Like Bhagavad Gita speaks about who God is, what is our relationship, and what is our ultimate goal. So I think these four slokas establish everything, the Sampada, Vidya, and Prayojana. Like first sloka says how great Krishna is and everything emanates from him. So it established that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then the second sloka is about devotees, Matchitta Matgada, that devotional service, and they relish Krishna's pastime. So, and I think the last one, it shows our prayojan, the goal, that we go back to Krishna, that Krishna dwelling in our heart gives the torchlight of knowledge. So I think the whole Bhagavad Gita is summarized here. No, Prabhu.
Yes, no, great. Anybody else can tell how the Gita is summarized here? Yes, beautiful. Chalo, then Pranchitane Prabhu. Yes, Braja Premika Devidasi, please, you wanted to add something? How do you say the Gita is summarized here?
Because as Mataji already said, and other thing that I was just thinking was how Krishna stresses this point that just by doing devotional service unto him and just just by serving him, one understands him, and so it's like very clear cut, like one line instruction. So that's
Yes. Thank you.
We'll do service. Prabhuji, can I, Prabhuji? We'll do service to Krishna. A path will be easy to go Goloka, Prabhuji.
Okay, very good.
Hare
Yes,
Krishna.
perfect. Chalo, Pranchitane Prabhu. Now,
Yes.
what is detail we missed? You can bring out.
Yes. Text number 8. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. So this verse establishes the Lord Krishna's position as being the original source of everything that is created, including the spiritual and the material worlds. So what is the result of knowing this? One takes up to the pure devotional service and worships Lord Krishna with all one's heart. And how one can understand this truth about Krishna as the original source of everything? Only by hearing from the Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, from the bona fide Shastras like Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. And Srila Prabhupada writes, a learned scholar who has studied the Vedas perfectly and has information from the authorities like Lord Chaitanya, and one who knows how to apply these teachings can understand this particular truth about Krishna's position. And the result is that one is never deviated from any nonsensical commentaries written by the foolish commentators who try to limit Krishna's position.
Correct. Now, we have many people say that there is no mention of the name Krishna in the Vedas, in the Shastra. There is no mention of the name Radha in the Shastras. Have you heard this kind of popular propaganda? Very popular propaganda. And they say Vinoba Bhave and so many people, they actually, I don't know what all names are used, Arya Samaj, all this organization, they don't worship Krishna at all. They just say we study the Vedas, they do so homas. So you heard about this propaganda that these are all later additions. Vedas don't have any name of God and all. Later they started all these temples and all. These are not in the beginning, there were no temple worship and all. You heard this? Anybody?
Yes, we have heard Arya Samajis, they don't worship Krishna. They only go through Vedas. And they only follow Vedas and they do not follow anything like these Krishna or
temples and
Vishnu
all.
or Satyana or anybody else. They just they just follow Vedas. Yeah, we also here even in Toronto we have this Arya Samaj temple, which is totally different from the normal temple that you would have. Yeah.
They just do homas. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Very good. Now, how do you counter them? Now, Prabhupada is countering. Yes, next page, Prabhuji. The first thing Prabhupada shows from the Pramana from the Vedas, you see, he is giving from Gopala. Upanishad means they're part of the Vedas. Hana? He is giving Gopaltapani Upanishad, Narayana Upanishad, Maha Upanishad. He is giving evidence from the Vedas where Krishna's name is mentioned. They will be shocked. Another thing is that all the mantras, it starts with Om. And Krishna says in Gita again and again, I am the Om. So you cannot avoid Krishna, but at the same time, look at the evidence. Yes. So always when these people are there who say in the Veda there is no name of Krishna, tell them to read 10.8 commentary, where Prabhupada in this, when say Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo, gives the pramana from the Shastra also for that. Many people say you ISKCON people are very narrow-minded, you worship only Krishna. No, we are not narrow-minded. Krishna is the origin, which is supported in even in all the Vedic literatures. Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. And Srila Prabhupada concludes his purport on this particular verse with a recommendation for the devotees. He writes, that's why avoid all the unauthorized commentaries on Bhagavad Gita, where sometimes the foolish commentators describe Krishna as an ordinary man, and thus one should proceed in Krishna consciousness with determination.
Yes, so these are all the evidences. You can read the purport, the verses are also there. Okay? There are much more. This is just brief properly. Yeah, next.
So next verse, second verse of the Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita. Macchitta madgata prana bodhayanta parasparam katayantascha nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service. They derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. So Krishna becomes the life and soul of such devotees by constant discussion and constant remembrance of Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada mentions two types of devotees in the various stages of their devotional advancement. One is the devotees in preliminary stage. They relish transcendental pleasure from the service itself. So they don't have the appreciation of Krishna's position or the taste in discussing about the pastimes of the Lord. So they can derive great joy by serving Lord Krishna. And in the mature stage of one's devotional service, when one is situated in love of God, then one can relish the highest perfection which is exhibited by the Lord in his abode by discussing and conversing about Krishna's name, form, qualities, and pastimes. Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, this is Lord Chaitanya talks about the seed planted in the heart and gradual development in the purport. You see that?
Yes.
And the seed is planted in the heart, it sprouts and it grows and finally gives us love of Krishna. So that right at the beginning, we follow the rules and regulation, order of the Acharya. We are working on that. But later, the fruit of love of Krishna comes. It's very easy to understand. And there is watering the seeds. There are so many more analogies given. That there are weeds, kutinati, jiva, hansa, nishida, chara, mana, puja, pratishtha. There are various kind of weeds. Kutinati means duplicitous behavior. Nishida, chara means not following rules and regulation. Jiva, himsa, giving pain to other living entities. Mana, puja, pratishtha, seeking worship, attention, adoration. So all this kind of disqualifications, if they are there, then the bhakti does not grow, even though Shravana Kirtana is going on. He's not able to hear also properly, but something is rolling the beats. So, but the love of Krishna will not grow. Okay, briefly describe the sowing of seed in the heart. We can read in Chaitanya Charitamrita in big detail. Also, you will get in teachings of the Lord Chaitanya, very nicely explained. And the purport, there is a short explanation.
Now, shall we briefly cover this analogy, Prabhuji?
Which one you want to explain more this analogy?
Or if this is
okay, can anybody tell me the analogy of the seed and the plant and the love of God? Yes, Reena Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah. What do you know? You tell, no?
Prabhuji, please repeat the question, Prabhuji. Sorry.
No, the seed and all. What is the seed business? Seed and fruit.
Prabhuji, seed is the, like, if you are very fortunate, then we will get the seed of bhakti. So that will be seeded in the heart. So with the Guru Kripa and Krishna Kripa, so like it will be grown. Like we have to water the plant regularly by doing the 9 devotional service. So among them, hearing, chanting, and smaranam. These 3 are easy way to water the plant. So like that bhakti lita bija, it will grow. So it will grow and it will cross the even the Brahma Loka and the 7 coverings of this material world. And we should not leave there itself. Like we should keep watering the plant. We should nourish it, and it will pierce the material, the 7 coverings of the material world, and it will reach the spiritual sky, and then it will reach the Goloka Vrindavana. And we should keep watering the plant till it reaches the lotus feet of the Lord, and there it will start giving the fruits, flowers and fruits. So that is nothing but the pure love of the Lord. So one can appreciate the pure love of the Lord. Prabhuji, this much I know, Prabhuji.
Correct.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhu.
Yes. Thank you, Prabhuji. So, realized devotees in Krishna consciousness, they relish discussing and hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. So in this regard, Srila Prabhupada quotes the famous verse from 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, how Srimad Bhagavatam is most dear to the pure devotees. Srimad Bhagavatam Puranam Amalam Yat Vaishnavanam Priyam. Srimad Bhagavatam is a spotless Puran, Amal Puran, It is most dear to the Vaishnavas because it describes the relationships between the reciprocation between the pure devotees and the Supreme Lord. It describes the pure and supreme knowledge of the Paramahamsas. And what is Srimad Bhagavatam? It is the nectarian narrations about the transcendental relationship between the Lord and his devotees. And standard of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is free of the four Purusharthas, which normally the Vedic scriptures deal with, namely Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. And pleasure in Srimad Bhagavatam, this is a transcendental literature which is relished by the realized souls. And analogy is given just like the young boy and the girl, they relish each other's association, they derive pleasure. Similarly, the pure devotees of the Lord, they derive pleasure in discussing and conversing amongst each other about Lord Krishna. So this is also
now, anybody can throw light on why Prabhupada compares in the purport these two, a boy and a girl. Yes, anybody? How do you compare? Why do Prabhupada compare it to a boy and a girl meeting?
Prabhuji, may I attempt?
Yeah.
Prabhuji, this is the state of the first love when the boy and a girl meet. During the period of their initial association, they're always thinking about one another all the time. Okay, and because they are thinking about one another all the time, this is exactly what Prabhupada says. That is that you should be thinking about Krishna all the time. While you're doing, when it happens to many people, when they are in love, they are always thinking they are doing some work, but still thinking about the other person. They are thinking what will please the other person. They are thinking what will make. They will not do what will make them angry. They will do things which will make them happy. So that way, here also, one has to do it in such a way that you please Krishna the way it is. That is what it is.
Yeah. See, another thing is that when a boy goes to the girl, it's quite naturally gets attracted. So he doesn't have to think, when I go to girl, what will happen? Will I get attracted? No, it's that everybody get attracted. Same thing for a girl. It doesn't, she has to think that how will I get in? I have to make up my mind to feel attached to him. No, it just flows naturally. Similarly, the love of Krishna is absolutely natural. You don't have to think what will happen when I meet Krishna, just like you're meeting a mother. After many years, you're really working your mind. When I meet her, I'll say, hello, how are you? You don't have to think like that. When you are in her presence, you'll overcome by the affection of the mother toward you, and you start behaving in great affection, isn't it? You don't have to work up your mind. It's natural. So similarly, Krishna relation is as natural, or not as, million times more pure and natural as a relation with the boy and the girl. Just like you narrated very nicely how they just go totally lost. I don't think it is a new story. Everybody can understand what it means. है ना? Movie में देखा है बहुत बारी. Personally experience भी गया है. People go mad day and night. They just think, they call for hours. 4 घंटे they talk on phone. कैसी हो? कैसे हो? That doesn't stop. So as much we see people just get into that. Similarly, the love of Krishna is actually natural. Not that you will have to think something. Prabhupada said, therefore, it's not an artificial imposition of the mind, it's a natural energy. So when you get into the relation within Krishna, naturally your love will flow in his presence, not that I have to think. Anybody else? This is one of the essay questions for the assignment. What is that?
Yeah, Prabhuji, I think with reference to the boy and girl, I think the initial stages, yes, the adoration and the love and the, everything, it just overflows. And, it might somewhere get off as well. But when you are on the Krishna consciousness path, I think it's long lasting, in as much as it is the same kind of, ecstasy that we feel, but this ecstasy and bliss is more long lasting than the love of boy and girl.
Okay, it's what you are qualifying that it will ever last. Yes, Vilas, you कुछ बोलना चाह रहे थे क्या, या खाली आवाज आया आपका उससे? विलास भूषित प्रभु जी तो बहुत दूर है ऐसे, है ना प्रभु जी?
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी।
है ना, आप तो ये सब चीजें तो बहुत दूर है, ये तो छोटा मोटा चीज है ना।
प्रभु जी
है कहाँ लड़का लड़की को देख के अट्रैक्ट हो रहा है, कहाँ विलास जी तो बहुत बिजी है, टाइम ही नहीं है, सोचने का भी टाइम नहीं है ना।
प्रभु जी, may I pray?
Yes, Rashmi, yes.
Prabhuji, from whatever classes I have heard till now, I think we can relate to the initial verse which we learned in Bhakti Rasa Sindhu, that not through karma, not through jnana, not through yoga, it is through bhakti. And if you engage in karma, it is basically engaging in our senses. Jnana means engaging our intelligence, and through yoga means to engaging our mind, and bhakti means engaging our heart. That means we should not be unnecessarily we have to surrender. That the meaning is that we have to surrender our heart.
Yes, from the heart. Yes, Mataji, perfect. Yes, Pran Chaitanya Prabhu, now you can complete it. See, the whole idea, Pran Chaitanya Prabhu, is instead of teaching, we have to make them discover the thing. People like that more, है ना?
Yes.
Teaching is there, the point should be there, but let people discover. Our delivery has to change in that way. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So the next text, Krishna explains his reciprocation with his pure devotees. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti te. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. So the link to the previous text. In the previous text, we saw how the devotees of the Lord, they are able to constantly converse with one another, appreciate Krishna and derive great joy. So how is it that the devotees are able to grasp Krishna, who is mentioned as unlimited, who is infinite? So Krishna is here giving the details that he is the one who is giving them the knowledge and understanding by which they can understand Krishna. So last verse, text number 9, we saw how the pure devotees of the Lord worship him, they converse about him. So in this text, Lord Krishna explains how he reciprocates with the pure devotees by guiding them and by giving them the knowledge from within.
So what kind of knowledge? Not that knowledge you get PhD or knowledge you get. Knowledge by which you can go back to Krishna. Okay, that is the point. Yena mam upayantite. Krishna gives you something which is most precious, the knowledge by which you can reach him. He gives you a hint of Krishna's love. And then you, after that, you run.
Yes. Prabhuji, at the end of this Chatur Shloki Bhagavad Gita, we have few group activities. So in that also we'll ask devotees to discuss and come. So in this particular text, Lord Krishna mentions the word Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam. So Srila Prabhupada relates this Buddhi Yoga word with what Lord Krishna has stated in chapter number 2 of Bhagavad Gita, where it was mentioned that Buddhi Yoga means action in Krishna consciousness. So Buddhi means intelligence, Yoga means the mystic activities or mystic elevation. Thus, Buddhi Yoga means the process by which one gets out of the entanglement of this material world. And ultimate goal of this Buddhi Yoga process is, the ultimate goal of progress is Krishna. People do not know this, therefore association of devotees and having a bona fide spiritual master are most important. Yes, Prabhuji. I'll cover the purport, Prabhuji, then you want to take this?
Yeah.
So as Mataji just explained, the Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga and Buddhi Yoga, Srila Prabhupada compares in the purport. So when one has one is attached to Krishna as the goal, but one is addicted at the same time to the fruitive activities, Then by engaging the results of these activities in the service to Krishna, one is engaged in the Karma Yoga. When one knows the goal is Krishna, but when one takes pleasure in mental speculation, then he is acting in Jnana Yoga. And when one knows the goal as Krishna and seeks completely that goal in Krishna consciousness and devotional service, on that platform one is acting in Buddhi Yoga or Bhakti Yoga. So Bhakti Yoga here is mentioned as the complete yoga and importance of working in Krishna consciousness. So Srila Prabhupada stresses that Buddhi Yoga or Bhakti Yoga doesn't just mean understanding Krishna, it involves active work, actively rendering devotional service to Krishna. He writes, the qualification is that a person is engages himself in Krishna consciousness and with love and devotion render all kinds of services. He should perform some sort of work for Krishna and that work should be with love. If a devotee is not intelligent enough to make progress on the path of self-realization, but is sincere and devoted to the activities of devotional service, the Lord gives him a chance to make progress and ultimately attain to him. So as long as a devotee is sincere, even if he is lacking in terms of knowledge, Krishna will provide that within the heart.
Okay. So done. Time is 12 o'clock. We continue, Prabhuji, next week from here.
Yes, Prabhu, can we take the group activity?
No. See, one of the rule is we should
Finish
finish at time or before time, not after time.
Yes,
We'll
Prabhu.
stop now, no problem. We did big cover, we cover. Send the Janaki Mataji, you can send them the, what is that? That form that you develop so that people can express their choice for Sunday evening also. And from next week, we will start in that way. Okay.
Right. So Prabhuji, can I just make 3 announcements? The first is, I see we had 64 when we started, 64 participants. Now I see only 59. And of the 59, I see the attendance response only from 50 people. Yeah. Please, the rest of you, the 9 of you who haven't yet responded to the attendance link, can you please do it? I will hang in the session for some time. So please do your attendance, A. And B, there are 2 homework questions that Pran Prabhu had posted in his presentation. So those 2 questions need to be answered during the week. And I will be sending you a Google link for that. So please post it in that. So as you heard Pran Prabhu say, it has to be handwritten and it has to be uploaded on the Google link. Okay, that's the second thing. The third thing I wanted to also say is, I think by, based on the responses that we have got and once Prabhuji, goes through it, we will let you know the bifurcation of the various teams that go into the different sessions that will happen. So these are the 3 things I wanted to say. Prabhuji?
Okay. Yes.
Prabhuji, one more thing. Sadhana chart. The sadhana chart will also be posted. So it will be a different one for every week. For this week, I will post it now. So from today onwards, up until the next class will be considered as 1 week. So please post it. You have to post the number of japas, the number of rounds of japas that you're doing, and as well as, all the other. Yeah. Yeah, and the Mangalarti, the Guru Puja, the Guru Puja, and as well as reading of either Srimad Bhagavatam or the Bhagavad Gita.
They can read the remaining chapter of Bhagavad Gita also. This 10 chapter, remaining portion they can. Okay.
Excuse me, how will we be communicated as to in which class we are to attend and what are the...
We will
based
let you
on
know,
what
Mataji.
you're selected, no? You're selected.
Based on your selection, Mataji.
But I don't see any communication. Where do you communicate? I used to be on Telegram, and then from Telegram it went back to advanced Gita level, and then what happened, I don't know.
Mataji, we're not using Telegram. Telegram we deleted.
Long time back,
We Google for Mataji WhatsApp group. You can add her.
I think let me just add the group. I'll just put the group, Mataji, right now. Please click on it and join the group.
Okay.
Prabhu, can you post the question again? The question, the question.
Yes,
And
Mataji.
that home assignment is for everyone or some people selected?
No, if everyone. Why selection? For all
For
of
everyone.
Mataji.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm giving you the link right now. I'll post it right now. Please join the link. Where is the link?
It doesn't come yet.
It'll come, Mataji. Just be patient. I'll put it. Let me put it here.
Prabhuji, meanwhile, a small question. Prabhupada was glorifying Bhagavatam in the 10.9, I think, that how much mallow is there and one need to nourish that, and he was comparing that boy and girl and all these things. So the question is, Prabhuji, whenever person comes to read at that level, I mean, who is reading first time in, let's say, in our level 2 team, they ask that whether we should start Bhagavatam together with Bhagavad Gita or how we should proceed. So is there any proper guideline whether he should...
The Bhagavatam study should be done canto page by page, but we can relish it at any place. You see what happened? Like a sugar candy, tasty from anywhere. Right? So we cannot start for him Bhagavatam from first canto, first chapter, because it takes 40, 50, 20 years at least to finish. Right? So, but he can come anywhere and start relishing, like a sugar candy, give example. But his personal study, he should do from Bhagavad, he should do Bhagavatam personal study from the first page. Take it?
And he can start along with Bhagavad Gita, right, Prabhuji? One can do that.
No problem. Bhagavatam, after you have read Gita, understood the basic concepts, anybody can relish. Okay? Okay,
thank you.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
See, what in all temples, Bhagavatam class is going on in the morning. No? It's open door, correct? Prabhupada also to America took Bhagavatam first canto. The first 2 cantos, they compared with 2 lotus feet. Hare Krishna, Venkata Narasa Reddy, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Chalo, then we close now. Pancha kalpadarubhascha kripa sindhave evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavana Manavanand Kodi Vaishnava Vindaki Jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Has everyone marked the attendance before we leave, before the session gets disconnected?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah. Thank you. Hare Krishna. I will be posting the links for sadhana and for submission of the assignments separately in the group. Okay.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.